Hi, it's Alan here. I'm going to debug a puppet that somebody put up on the forums they're having a bit of trouble with. So I'm just going to race through this one and see how we go. So the first thing is I've downloaded it. So I'm going to, in my downloads directory, where is he? There's a turtle puppet. Turtle puppet. So the .puppet files, they're basically zip files. In a particular format for a character animator to understand. So I've loaded, this is just a project I've just got lying around, and I just keep playing in the same project. So I've created a turtle, imported the turtle puppet. Going to hit the scene button, which should create a scene for him. So I get to see the turtle. He's a little bit small, so I'm going to come over here and adjust the scale up a little bit. So I've just clicked down on the scale value and dragged it up, and that's scaled him up so we can see him a little bit easier on this window. Okay, let's just try and do something with him. Whoa! Yeah, that's sort of interesting, isn't it? So you can see this turtle needs a little bit of work. So what the first thing I'm going to do is double click up in the scene window, which will bring him up in the rigging. I might actually go all the way and click the rig button. And so you notice here that I've got the mesh, this little icon down the corner here. It's a mesh icon, and it's showing me the yellow mesh. Now, what you really want is that mesh to be the same as the outline of your character. When it's a big rectangle like this, all sorts of weird distortion and stuff's going on, because what it's basically doing is going to grab different points of the character and try and pull it. And so if it thinks this and this is connected, it can't distort it properly. So if I come over to have a look at what's going on over here. So the first thing, I actually don't know if it's required, but I just always do, is I always make the root independent. So the root of the turtle is independent. And you can already see just doing that alone fixed the mesh up a fair bit, and it's following around the body. You might say, well, why isn't the arm highlighted? Well, if you click on one of the arms, that's what's with a little crown, it's called independent. And so each of these separate arms is going to have its own mesh around it, which is going to be used for distortion and so forth. So even just turning the root of it independent is making a difference. And if I look down here, it looks like there's another layer at the top level of this puppet. And probably what they've done is traced over a picture or something, I'm guessing. Anything that's hidden is still taken into account with the mesh. And so you could either make that independent as well and really clean things up, but in this case, since it's all hidden, I'm just going to hit the del key and delete the thing because it's probably not even needed. So okay, so we got this turtle. Why don't we just go back and have a look at the scene window again. Oh, I had the record button on. So if that particular setting is armed, when you do it, it'll record the value, but it won't save it away permanently for the default for the puppet. So if I now zoom this guy up, it's now changing the default for the puppet in this scene because that's what I've got selected. So let's have a look. And you can already see he's going a whole heap better just doing that. But this leg's a bit weird, isn't it? Don't know if you can see that very clearly. Maybe I can zoom it up a bit bigger. So that foot's going funny, but the other one's actually not too bad, looking pretty good. So let's go back into the rigging mode, and let's have a look at the two legs. So this leg, we've got a left knee, we've got the joint to the body, left heel and left toe. Well, when he's working this way, the toe sort of feels to be on the wrong spot. So to me, a toe is when you've got like an L-shaped foot, like you got over here, you come down and across. Whereas this guy's really just got stumpy legs. So I'm actually just going to delete the toe marker, and I'm going to move his heel closer to the middle of the foot. Let's have a look at his right leg. He's got the same thing, a toe there. That one seems to be okay, but I'm a little bit worried that what it's doing is using the direction. Heck, let's just see what happens when I just do that. And you can already see it's got a fair bit better, but you notice the knee is still a bit funny. And what's happening is his legs are bowed outwards, but to walk, it's pulling the knee in front of the foot. And that's why that leg looks a little bit funny, but the other leg looks fine because this leg's curved in the right direction for walking in this direction. It may be the best you can, but it may be a matter of redoing the artwork so the leg curves forward, maybe. Or you might just say, well, hey, it's already a heck of a lot better. What else could we do? I'm making this up as I go along, by the way. Okay, so if we go back to the left leg, I got no idea what this is going to do, by the way, so I'm just going to move the knee a little bit further forward and here a little bit further back and just see what happens. Yeah, I can't really say that's going any better. Okay, back to the rigging. I'm going to leave the knee in the middle then and the heel over there. Oh, somebody in the forums suggested something. Okay, I'm going to try something. If I come up here, I'm going to, for the fun of it, now I personally like using the text. I just find them a little bit easier to spot. Maybe it's just my eyesight. I'm going to actually take left knee off that one, and I'm going to put left elbow onto it and just see what happens. Well, you can see how it's coming out a little bit different, and the idea is the elbow when you're walking is actually behind the body, and so it's the inverse of the leg, and so you just got to decide, well, does he look more or less comfortable walking like that? I think that one's personal opinion, but so yeah, it doesn't have to be the real motions, because what it's really just trying to do is move things relative to the body, and so by getting rid of the knee and putting an elbow, which somebody in the forums suggested, which is a really cool idea, hadn't tried that before, it seems to work quite well, at least he's looking bow-legged in front of the other one, and so you just pick which one you want. I'm actually going to go back to the rigging. I'm going to undo. Now you might have noticed, how do I redo? Edit, redo. You see the mesh has got less triangles in it at the moment, and when I put the knee onto it, it's got to be able to twist it more, and so the density of the mesh is proportional to the amount of warping you've got to do. So the more of these things that it's going to be dragging around the place, the more in the mesh, and at a guess, the slower the puppet will be over time, because it's got to transform all these different shapes. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. On the forum he mentioned about he really wants the head to move, so let's have a look at the head. Do we have no draggers or anything on it? So I can't see. Let's just go to the record window for a moment. Is there anything I can drag? Okay, so I can drag his hands. And I can drag his other hand, so they're working quite well. But because they're independent, that's why we can do this. And so what we're going to have a think about is whether to make the head independent is the next one. Okay, sorry about that. I just got the somebody at the front door. So starting back up the recording again. So what we're going to do now is just try a couple more things with this guy. Going to have a bit of a look around his body and see what else we can improve. So if I put the camera on, for example, one of the comments was, you know, his head's distorting a little bit, arms are moving around a little bit, and what can we do to improve that? Well, there's a few different approaches. I just move that up a little bit. So I'm going to just try putting a stick across his shoulder, for example. So I'm just going across his shoulders from one shoulder to the other. You see, it sort of makes a little bit of a difference. And sometimes you just got to play around with some of these things, but not really that effective in this case. I could put another stick down the middle of his body. Yeah. But straightening up and stiffening up his body a little bit. That may be one sort of approach. But I'm going to undo them, and I'm going to do something else. Now, another thing you can notice is it's interesting sometimes understanding where the body's twisting. And fundamentally, if you don't want the head to change around like that, what you really want to do is make the head generally independent so it doesn't stretch and distort the head shape. Turn the mesh off. Sort of, you can see the face is sort of distorting its shape, and if you don't want that sort of a behavior, you really need to aim for an independent head. So how do we do that? So if we come over to the rig, let's just try sticking independence on the head on first. So all I've done is I've clicked the independence layer for the head. Let's see what happens. And now you can see as I tilt the head around, it doesn't distort anymore. But of course it looks rather funny because of this head dangling all around the place. So if we go click on the puppet, come over to face, the head position strength, I'm going to decrease that down, and that keeps it closer, but it's still the neck going a bit funny. So what I'm going to do now, go back to the rig, I typed Control E, which will bring up the editor on the actual file, and I'm just going to rearrange the artwork a little bit. Oh, I just noticed there's some fixed points on the feet. It's a little bit funny because they're not actually on the mesh for that layer, but we'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, so here we've got the artwork, and my mouse is going suddenly slow. You can have to see this neck as a part of the head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that down. I think it's still running. Drag that down to be part of the body. Now you notice that the neck doesn't go all the way up. So if I zoom in a little bit, oops, didn't mean to do that. This object is sort of nicely shaped, but if instead what we do, I bring that up like that. So what I'm trying to do is extend the neck up and behind the head. I'm just filling it around. I'm just trying to do something quick. Okay, so now if I hid the head, you can see the neck comes up and behind the head a little bit, but you're not going to see it most of the time. So I'm going to save that. Let me come back over here. Great, it's loaded up. Oh, we got the photos back. Well, I'm just going to get rid of that. It just gets annoying. Okay, he's got that locked. Unlock. Select. Delete. Where's delete? Delete photos. So I'm just going to get rid of that permanently. I can do it because I'm only doing in a copy of the puppet, so I'm not going to keep getting that thing coming back all the time, which causes all this sort of problem all the time. If you save too quick, you'd save, you won't actually notice it, so you've got to let it make sure it's finished saving before character animate notes. Okay, so we got rid of that one. So if we go back to the record, hello. So now you can see the head's moving without distorting all the rest of the body.